What's going on, everybody? It's Curtis King of CurtisKingBeats.com, and I'm here as promised with Peter Whitt to answer all of your questions dealing with publishing, dealing with contracts, and all the things that you had in particular detail that you left within the comment section. Peter, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you here.
Hey, Curtis King, I'm blessed and honored to be a part of this. Thank you for inviting me. I'm ecstatic, man, because you're a junior icon on his way up. So
Oh,
I
I appreciate
appreciate you.
that. Thank you. And I know there's a lot of people out here who, as much as they appreciate my information, I'm only one person, and just hearing all the credits that you have, hearing all the things that you've been able to do, and just the experience you have is something that I lack, and I'm so glad to have you on here to answer these questions directly because we talked about it before, is that I am in no shape or form an attorney, and I cannot give all this information that a lot of people are asking me about, and I want to make sure that whatever I give them is not just a random Google search. But if you can, just let people know about just, what is it, your experience, what exactly you do within the music industry, and yeah, and then we'll just jump right into the Q&A.
Okay, yeah. I'm Peter Whitt. I'm from Carson, California. Grew up there and been joined the Army, well, probably when most of you guys were born, but in the late 80s. And recently retired, as you can tell by my little hat here that I'm self-promoting. Um, but I got started, I've been in music mostly all my life. I was a singer since the time I was 2 years old. And but big growing up in California, you didn't meet a lot of people in the industry out there, hung with the Silvers and Shalimar and Lakeside, and then, but never really took my craft seriously until later in life. And so while I was in Germany, stationed in Germany with my wife and about to have our first child, I just started producing. It just came upon me. But I do the old school type of producing. I grew up at a time when, you believed in Tin Pan Alley, where people got together, they wrote songs, your Holland Dozier Holland type stuff, and they passed that music around and let different artists sing it. But the biggest part of being a producer was putting the right pieces together, hearing that right sound, capturing that right sound. I know we're in a digital age now, so everyone's creating beats and everything, but it's still a sound. It's your sound. So if you get a sound that you infatuated with or that you got a love for, that's still you as being a producer. We just made it simpler now because we have a digital age. So through lots of trial and error, I became more involved and more in depth with the music industry. We came back from Germany in the early 2000s, and these gospel singers in the Georgia area, they were some dynamic sisters. There was four of them that actually had a group, but all of them could sing. There was about 10 of them. It's country, so everybody has big families. So they came to me and they asked me to promote them and to be a part of what they were doing, and that was just a random act of God. So I began to do gospel promotions and things of that nature. But from that, I began my own independent gospel record label, and I got into music publishing. I put my hands in all of it as I was learning. I produced a couple people down in the Georgia area, a couple of groups I got started and things of that nature. So nothing big time. I'm a humble guy. I like to stay small, stay in my community and stay in my neighborhood, that type of stuff. So I'm not trying to compete with the big boys. But what I learned is that, if you help someone else achieve their dreams, then your dreams will be fulfilled.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's kind of my philosophy. And, so I've had my hand in everything from singing to producing to publishing. How I came up across publishing is as I was learning how to become a better producer, I ran across the word publishing. And I recognized that was where all the coin was in publishing.
Right.
It wasn't necessarily in the producing portion of it, but, so I got involved with publishing and got involved with people that needed a leg up. And I've always prided myself on being a mentor. So
Sure.
young and old. So um, I just want to help people see the real life of what they call their dream or what they believe God has called them to be and to do,
Absolutely.
and just break it down to bite-sized pieces so we can all understand it. And my philosophy has always been, if I push you up the hill, you can either reach back and grab me, or I'm only 2 steps behind you.
Right. I remember you said that earlier, and that was something that stuck with me.
Yeah.
And while we're on the subject of publishing, maybe for the
Mhm.
audience members that maybe they're getting started and they keep hearing this word, and that was me for a long time, was, what exactly is publishing? Because on one end, you'll
Yeah.
get somebody that's talking about publishing deals, and then on the other end, somebody's talking about getting placements within commercials. It's a term that
Yeah.
is so general that it can apply to all these different things. But in your eyes, how do you define publishing?
Again, let's preface this with, I am not an attorney.
Right. Yeah, you got to put the disclaimer out there.
Yes. But the way that I dealt with it and the way that it's generally dealt with is that a publisher will help get your music either written or composed instrumentally to the public
Right.
um, through different avenues, whether there's a group of people that are in with the local radio stations and the local DJs and program managers, get your music out there, or they will help if you have a written, if you're a lyricist and they just have it written down, they'll help push it to someone that can sing it and record it and get it out there. But you must understand, publishers that's 50% right off the top. They're getting 50% of whatever's coming in as well once they publish it. But they handle all the administrativeness. They handle all the ins and outs. They know who to get it to the right people at the right time.
Right.
Whether it's Nashville, New York, California, Atlanta, whatever. They'll they have broad arms when it comes to getting your lyrics and your music to the right people to get into, as you mentioned earlier, either commercial, television, movies, or even just an aspiring artist that's on the rise,
Right.
to like a Whitney Houston or someone of that nature.
So
So,
they pretty much
uh,
provide the bridge to getting the music there, but they're going to take a chunk because of the services rendered to
yes,
begin
yeah,
with.
yeah, and that's it. And I know there's a lot of young people out there that want to start their own music publishing company on their own, uh, which is a good start. That's a good idea. But you must understand that it's going to first cost you as a publisher to affiliate with one of the performance rights organizations. So it's usually some fee that you're going to have to pay anyway. And if you're going to call yourself a LLC or a incorporated or partnership,
Right.
you got to look into those fees. And I think generally, a couple of years ago, it was for partnerships and above, it was like $250. But individuals is like $150.
Okay.
So whoever you deal with, BMI, ASCAP, CSAC, whoever, there's generally as a publisher, because they're going to look at you as a company.
Right.
So regardless if you're a sole proprietorship or if you are incorporated.
Sure. Okay. And I think that actually takes us to one of the most popular questions within the comment section, because I did a video a few days ago, and a lot of people remember
Yes,
who are
sir.
watching right now. They left comments, and a lot of them had pretty much a lot of the same questions, but a few questions, kind of got a lot of thumbs up on YouTube. Like, we all really are in unison, need to know these answers. So I'm going to
Right.
read this off, and,
Okay.
I have a little perspective on some of these guys' names and who they are. And Cal HD,
Yes, sir.
Cal HD is actually a producer, and I did a review
I
of one
saw
of his.
that.
You're right. I did one of the reviews of his
Yes.
beats. Really talented dude, and he was brave enough to put his stuff out there to be, sort of judged by the multitude. But he left a question. He said, "I am a producer, and I am registered with BMI." He said, "I was wondering if I need to register my works, his works meaning his beats, after every single beat is completed, or do I wait until it's recorded with an artist and is released?" He just said he just was wondering the proper way to collect royalties. So basically, he's with BMI. Anytime he registers his work, it's going to be with BMI. He wants to know that after every single beat is completed, because with the leasing producers, he's a leasing producer where he'll put his production on his website and basically make it available to the buying public, any artist, singer, rapper. So he wants to know, should he register his works after every single beat is completed, or should he wait until artists are purchasing his material or they release the material? What would you say?
My experience has been immediately after you complete your beat. If you're already registered with a PRO, a performance rights organization, just go ahead and send it to them, because it's not going to cost you anything. So it's other than your time to mail it. And that way, when someone does pick it up and they do blow it up, you won't be hustling on the back end, to try to say, hey, that's mine. Because a lot of people, how we get, we try to say, well, I had that song before and, it wasn't registered or whatever. Right. To cover yourself, to keep yourself safe, go ahead and register it with your PRO. Now, the second part about the copyrights, that's a different perspective when you're talking about the copyrights. Because what a lot of people confuse the two. A performance rights organization gets you your royalties based upon it being performed, that music, that song, okay?
Now, when you say perform, what do you mean specifically when you say perform, for those out there who are trying to figure that out?
Yes, okay. Being performed, being either in a concert, whether it's live or on the television, if the music is being performed for the public, either television, a commercial, film, or whatever, even from the radio stations. Program managers have to pay a certain amount in order to get those songs played on the radio. So that's what they work so hard to do, and if it's a popular song. So they capture those, for you. Your copyright allows you to say, this is my works, this is my body of works. Right. And generally speaking, you can copyright one song, you can copyright 100 songs at the same time. Right. For one low price, but it'll be your original work. Okay, so if someone comes in and they want to try to flip it and take bits and pieces of or what we call samples, right?
Right.
So you would still have your copyrights. Like, I heard you mention it before, it's like a patent pending type information, but it's already been documented that you sent that in. So no one else can take that without giving you your slice of the pie.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Well, so that I'm sure that there's a lot of people right now who are scratching their head like, thank you for that, because I'm sure it's questions that, although they may be very, probably very, very basic to you at this point in time, that it's so important to people who are like, I have no idea about this world at all when it comes to the publishing or whatnot. So that was the first question. That was the most popular one. The second one is, I'm assuming it's from a producer and an artist, but they're asking, and you let me know too. I'm going to read through these questions, and mind you, you and I have not discussed what specific questions to go at, but I'm going to ask certain questions, and if it gets too like legalese and it's something that an attorney should, by all means, you can ward it off. We'll go to the next question, but this question might fall in that category, and he's basically the Heartfelt Kid on YouTube. He asks, what is best for a producer / artist who wants to protect his stage name from being used by others? And he gave a few different options. Is it to trademark the name, create an LLC, create a DBA, sole proprietorship? So he basically wants to know what's the best way for an artist or producer to protect their name from a legal standpoint.
Yeah, again, consult your attorney. But not the easiest, I won't say the most difficult way, but the most protective way is trademark. And trademarks are expensive. You can't walk up and say I'm gonna trademark my name for $1.50.
It's
It's
just
not
not
gonna
going to
happen.
happen. What?
It's
How
not
much
gonna-
have you seen them go for? I mean, does it vary upon the
as
name?
as low depending as low as $350
Hmm.
to as much as
Woo.
$1,500. Yeah.
Yeah.
So trademark is not is and again it's simply just like copyright. It's a patent pending type of procedure process. There are corporations and organizations that are out there that will help you trademark your name. But
Right.
then again, you're looking into the cost of not only to trademark your name, but to pay them for that work that they're doing.
Right.
So when you talk about protecting your name, um, it is best to trademark your name, but you gotta wait until not wait, but you gotta kind of count up the costs. I don't want to get biblical on you, but
Right.
you gotta,
They're used to it from me. They call me. They
yeah,
sometimes they call me Pastor Curtis. I can't help the influence of my mom and being in church, but by all
right,
means, if you need to go there, please go there.
yeah. And it's difficult for a preacher not to preach when he's not preaching.
Right.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay, but to you gotta sit down and count all your costs up and say, would it be worth for me to do it now on the beginning stages of my career,
Hmm.
or would it be best for me to, or would I be okay if I held out a little bit longer until my career got to a point where I'm financially stable?
Right.
Because stuff is going to happen.
Sure.
Stuff is going to happen, and situations, life happens.
Right.
So if you dish out that $1,500 now, next thing bill collector knocking on the door, coming to repossess your car.
Hmm.
So you got to count up the
You
cost.
got to make sure you're doing it the right time, and I absolutely agree. And do you
Yeah.
think that there's other ways that can slow the process down for somebody else trying to trademark it? I mean, for instance, I've heard people say things like, they'll get the official URL for the artist's name, or they'll get the official, Twitter handles or the YouTube handles. I mean, I guess to slow the process down, but what's trademarked is
Right.
trademarked at the end of the day, right?
That's correct. Yeah, but if again, presuming we're all on the low end, we're all in the
Right.
beginning stages, and we're all learning from one another, and that's the beauty of what I like about what you do, is that we can all learn from one another. No
Sure.
big eyes, no little U's. Even though I got 20 plus years on you, I still can come to you and say, hey,
Right.
this is what I need help with.
And the business is
Right.
always changing too. I mean,
Right.
because and that leads me to the next question too.
Hmm.
There is a Christian rapper, a buddy of mine named Rusalon. He asked a
Hmm.
question that I think is really good, and it really deals with some things that are, I guess, within the last few years have transitioned the music business more to a streaming business. And the
Yes, sir.
question he asked was, does ASCAP collect streaming money on behalf of writers and publishers from Spotify, Apple Music, and Tidal, or is that only Sound Exchange? Now, I just got familiar with Sound Exchange myself with, the service that they offer, and they do actually
Hmm.
go out there and get your money, but I guess he wants to know, really how active, how proactive is ASCAP uh, in regards to actually going to collect streaming money as opposed to
They're
like a
not.
Sound Exchange. They're not.
They
Okay.
are not. They're not. That is not what they do. I read an article from recently. I think it was from the Do-It-Yourself musician.
Okay.
Uh, the ASCAP, CSAC, and BMI. They're all PROs, performance rights organizations.
Right.
So they only going to collect for performances. All right.
Mm.
So either your live concerts or the radios, your televisions, your films, and things of that nature. Um, yes, Soundscape. You say, yeah, they or Sound Exchange. They go after the streaming revenues. But me personally, um, I generally align my artists up. I do management now, so
Right.
I do personal management now. So that's as much of the game that I'm still in. But I go through CD Baby. All
Okay.
right.
That's my
So
favorite there
shameless,
too.
yeah,
And
shameless plug,
TuneCore.
but
I use
yeah,
TuneCore, but I use CD Baby as well. It's one of my favorites.
right. Because CD Baby does it all. for streaming. They do it. They actually go and diligently track everywhere you're being played, everywhere. And I'm an analytical guy. When I was in the military, that was my primary function, crunch numbers. So you can actually pull up either from your laptop, your phone, or whatever from their app, and see exactly who streamed, where it was streamed, what device they used, how long they listened to it, male, female, what country they're in, and they provide you numbers like your your video that you had recently in reference to boosting your YouTube numbers and stuff like that. You want real numbers, right? You don't want the fake numbers,
Absolutely.
right? Just like we don't want the fake news either, right?
Yeah, we don't want no alternative facts. We want to get. I always said that. I said, let me know what it is. I don't care how ugly it is. Let me know how real it is. Because at least if I know it's only 2 people watching or 2 people whatever listening, let me work on those 2 people and turn them into 4. Yeah.
Absolutely, and so that's why I utilize CD Baby, and I love CD Baby the way that they do it, and they're actually real people that you can call on the phone, and they'll walk you through everything. They don't look at you as like, oh, he's a big dummy, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
There's another number out here, right?
Right. They take their time on the phone. You can call them anytime, leave them a message, email them, video chat with them or whatever, and they will. And a lot of times, all they want you to do is say, yes, go ahead and do it, and they'll do it on their end. You don't even have to touch your screen.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that leads me to the next question, which, since we're really getting down to the nitty-gritty, I think we may move on from after this, but it's another important question is there a major difference when it comes to the performance rights organization between a BMI to an ASCAP in your experience? Obviously, everybody has a different experience with that. The CSACs, do you see anything as a significant difference if somebody's trying to decide which one to go with?
From my experience, what I've learned, CSAC is solely on your contemporary Christian gospel religious view, and they have a process. You just can't join them. You have to generally be voted in, or generally be accepted in, I should say, not voted in, but accepted in.
Right.
So it's a little longer process.
Different vetting process with that. Okay.
Right. Yes. But the other 2, American Association of, what is it called? Composers, authors, and producers. Yeah. See, I got that right. I didn't have to look.
That's definitely
right. Yeah. That one. And basically what it boils down to is personal preference.
Right.
Because when you talk about ASCAP, you're talking about your composers, your authors, and producers. So your composers, your producers, your beat makers, all those, they got you, they're going to look after your best interest. Your authors, you're talking about your lyricists, your poets, and things of that nature. Right. And then, of course, your producers or your performers and things of that nature. So you got they cover all of that. And BMI, I chose BMI, and I'm affiliated with BMI, both as a publisher and as a writer, simply because it was convenient, because they have a place in Nashville, and I can run right down to Nashville. It's 2.5 hour drive for me from Louisville, Kentucky.
Right.
And I can knock on their door, and they'll give me some time.
So whatever you talk to them about, right?
Right. And because I'm in such a I would say a centerpiece of Nashville, my music is going to be pushed. It's Music City.
It's the live capital. Yeah, sure.
So that was, for me, that was a no-brainer. And I've been with them even when I was in Georgia, when I first began and first affiliated. I looked at both of them. I did generally look at both of them, and I found that it was a little more user-friendly for me for BMI.
Okay.
So, because you got to remember, I've been around before computers were at this age, so we had to write everything.
Transition. Oh, you had to write it. See, that's what I'm talking about. For all the producers and artists that are listening right now, like, understand that although it may seem very overwhelming, just imagine what it had to be like when you didn't have, you know, a Google search at your cell phone's, you know,
Yeah.
disposal. It's a lot different now, but the resources are out there. Now, I wanted to transition more so to
Hmm.
the contracts. I think we really got to a lot of
Okay.
those questions. I think that really one really good question somebody asked, and I'm going to see if I can find their name. It was FTM Beats as a producer, but he's asking on the behalf of a producer and an artist,
Hmm.
when should an artist or a producer seek a manager and or lawyer?
And my question, and I wrote this down. My comment to this was the moment it feels overwhelming.
Mm,
The moment you feel like you're doing everything and everything has just gotten too much for you, and you're feeling like you're bogged down, that's the time for you to look for a personal manager.
right.
Now, if I can, let me take a little time
Sure.
here and explain the
Definitely
difference.
specify the difference in the manager, because I've
Yeah,
learned over the years that there are differences with the managers.
right. Yeah. So a personal manager is different from your finance manager and or your business manager. Definitely different from your road manager.
Hmm.
So those are all completely different. A personal manager, you are not required to have. You're not required to have any form of degree or certification or any type of schooling. That's why, we just saw the New Edition story. They had old uncle over
Yeah.
there doing their management because, he had a little bit of experience. So
Yeah.
it happens that way. Um, but the business managers, because it is business, they need to have an advanced degree. If
Right.
once you start making your coin the way that you want to make your coin, you need to look for somebody that's not going to take your coin because they already had it.
Sure.
You know, same way with your finance manager. So so what? The moment that you feel like, you know, I'm at a stopping place because if I take on another project or if I do this, then I'm just going to be, I don't know which my left or my right, which is up, which is down.
Right.
And I can use you as an example. You're creating beats for you. Then you
Right.
turn around and there's 10 other people that want beats. And you're just like, man, I need organization.
Right.
So, so you reach out to somebody, and the beauty of a personal manager is to relieve you of all that stress.
Mm,
What the personal manager is, which a lot of people get confused on, a personal manager is not your booking agent. It's not your go-to, go get me this type of guy or
right.
person. Shouldn't be, right? Your personal manager should be the one that looks deep inside of you, looks into your future
Right.
and says, okay, I'm going to help you get to the next level.
Okay.
And how I'm going to help you get to the next level is I'm going to associate you with the right team. I'm going to start building a team around you to help take care of all that stuff. Now, you can find somebody that's going to look in and have just as much passion and compassion towards you for your career instead of their own.
Right.
Then you got yourself a gold mine.
Sure.
Um,
Sure. That's
because that's what he needs to do. He needs to, he needs to be able, or she needs to be able to shake hands with people on your behalf because a personal manager takes on your name. They represent you.
right.
So they can't come up to Jay-Z and just start talking all any old type of way. you know, you can't come up to, and I can go back to the old days, Clive Davis. Can't
Right.
walk up to Clive Davis and just say any old type of thing and say, I got this guy over here that, yeah, he can do a little
Yeah.
something, something.
You got to be
You can't do
respectful
that.
about the way you're approaching that and professional at all times. Sure.
Exactly. So when you can't make it because you're out there doing the hustle, you putting your grind in the studios and doing all the other stuff, your personal manager is out there in the street
Right.
knocking on doors, going to the radio stations, taking your 3 to 5 track demo or EPKs now and pushing it, and which
Right.
is I love. Can I talk about the EPK
Sure.
real quick?
Sure. Yeah.
Because the EPK that's the perfect venue for all of us these days.
For those who don't know what an EPK is, how would you
Yeah.
describe it in your own way?
Electronic press kit. What used to be the standard press kit where you get the bios and the write-ups and again, before the computers, we wrote everything out. you know, and you get to put it in an electronic type of form, and as you're exchanging cards and greeting people, you come back and you got an email address on there, and you send that 5-track uh, EPK. It's got the bio, it's got your website, it has your Twitter handle, it has your Facebook pages, it has all that in one little block. So when people go to it, they got everything that they need. And you personally don't have to go out and knock on doors and do all that other stuff, but you can communicate via email and all that other stuff. So the personal manager helps you put that EPK together in a format that is going to be different, eye-catching, eye-popping,
Right.
and it's going to send them to whatever else that they need, because everybody's looking at your Facebook page, everybody's seeing your
All that
Twitter
stuff
handles.
counts, right?
It
All
sure
that
does.
stuff counts, yeah.
It definitely does. So that's, again, going back to the personal man. I'm passionate about personal management because I understand what it is that, we put the team together for you. We put the whole marketing team together, the whole production team together. We put the right singers with you, the right instruments with you. And I know you use Fruity Loops. I can tell you, hey, I found this drum kit over here. How about trying to use that?
Right,
That's what a personal manager does for you.
They're proactive in every aspect of anything that's your development. And what's crazy? The last manager I had was it was really great at that personal management aspect, in that he really understood what it was to be a manager, and that you are proactive in every single, like, there is nothing that does not affect the bottom line. Everything affects the bottom line, from your relationship to the food that you're eating, how often you're sleeping. All these things all affect how much energy you're able to give, and how much that you give to your music. Now, the second part of that question that they asked was about the lawyers. So the manager, for sure, like that, you completely nailed that. When do you think that it's an appropriate time for a lawyer to get involved? Because they seem to be the ones that don't care about anything that has to do with your personal life. They want to make sure that you take care of their fees, and you bring them what they ask you to bring them. When do you think a lawyer needs to be involved within an artist?
When you get to the point where you are stable with your mindset, stable with your career, and it's going in a direction in which you need it to go to. You know that you're going in upward motion, that things are taking off, you're getting gigs here and there. You're going to need that attorney to come in to help you. That's, again, the personal manager will seek out that attorney to help you understand those contracts, and to help him or her understand those contracts as well. So before you go sign, and generally a personal manager will do that, will begin to see where things are going. A good personal manager should see that, and if you have a good relationship with the manager, which you should, you'll sit down and you discuss it, and then you ask that question. Hey, do you think do we need to consult an attorney?
Right.
Seek out an entertainment attorney, and then that personal manager will definitely get on. And in fact, I actually put in a call to one. He was an entertainment an attorney, but he left his job to become a musician. He has 2 recording studios in the Atlanta area. So if you guys are in the Atlanta area, shout out to Devin Sawyer, Devon Sawyer, out there in the Atlanta area. He's a good guy, personable guy. He was an entertainment attorney for a number of years, and I think he had made partnership at one time. But he's pursuing his passion now, which is playing music and producing. But they got full-blown recording studios, videos, everything that you need. And we've collaborated on some things together. But, he's a good brother for me to reach out to. So look him up.
And that's Atlanta-based, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I think that we are starting to wind around towards the end, but there's still a lot of questions that pretty much are saying the same thing. And I think that one important question a lot of folks were asking is, how does one who does not have the access to a lawyer, have access to any of those resources, how does one, if you're a producer or an artist, how do you go about drafting a contract? Even where do you even start from? Where's your starting point?
Look, one time I read a book, Actually, I had to read the book because my wife said, "You bought it, you need to read it." But
I understand that.
it was called the Book of This Business of Music. And as I was reading the book, I mean, it was a big old, War and Peace type deal.
Right.
But in the back of it, they had this CD-ROM. It's
Huh.
called this, yeah. And in the back of it, they had this here, right, which has all types of contracts, all types of information,
Right.
samples of, whether you join ASCAP, CSAC, or BMI, they have those PDF forms for those things you can print out.
Right.
And um, so if you want a copy, it's about 100 pages or so. I could email them to you.
Okay.
These are interactive or interchangeable, I should say, contracts. So you can put the names and addresses as you please that you want to. And what I need you to do is make sure, again, your first contract, once you hit your first contract, you get it written down and it sounds smooth to you and everything, have an attorney look at it. I went through Legal Shield myself personally for my first couple of contracts,
Okay.
just to make sure that I could, that everything was legitimate enough
Right.
for what I was doing. The personal management, my personal management contract is on standard. It's been looked over. Exclusive contracts, lease agreements, all those type of samples are in there. So, and then the second thing, after you have the attorney, browse through it, make sure when you go to sign that artist or you sign that for that producer, that you have a notary public there, that they can witness it, and that way everything is legal and binding, which emphasizes the fact that you both have read that contract and you have a good working knowledge of what's in that contract. So you won't hit these little things about, well, how do I know if I'm getting my royalties, and when do I get my royalties, and
Right.
or when this lease is up, what happens after this,
Well,
that type of stuff. Oh,
I
yeah,
was
go
gonna say,
ahead.
I don't not mean to cut you off, but let me ask you this: when a lot of producers are operating businesses on one side of the U.S., with customer, or not even artists, producers are operating businesses with artists from overseas and on the East Coast, and even us, we have
Yeah.
a 3-hour difference. If they're not able to have sort of a notary be involved, what do you think is the next best thing? Is it a matter of just making sure that the contract gets signed and you have copies of it, or what would you suggest? I know that's really
Yeah.
a legal
Again,
question,
not yeah,
but
yeah, not being an attorney. I
right.
have a niece that's an attorney, but the best way to do it, and the way I found it as well, is send it to the person. If you're writing the contract, I
Right.
send it to the person. The person signs it, attached with, this is my legal signature. A note, basically like Charlie Brown would give to the teacher.
Right.
This is my legal signature, and I'm authorizing my signature and have authorized my signature on this note, so that when I receive it electronically or in the mail, when I go to the notary public, I can tell the notary public this is what the person did, and
Oh,
we
so you
can
can
either get
still
that.
take that into them, is what you're saying. Okay, I did not know that.
Correct, because
Okay.
what the notary public is going to need is some verification that the other person legally did sign it. So either by a note or maybe a phone call, a teleconference, or something like that. As long as the notary public can actually say that to that person, that you signed this contract and you're aware of what's in this contract. Because the
Okay.
notary public's not going to read the contract. They're just there
Need to worry
to
about
make
that
sure that
signature.
it's legal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we'll wind it down. I think there's one more question that was kind of popular is, what do you think the best what do you think is the best way for an artist or a producer to go about clearing a sample? Because there's many different ways people go about that. I know that can be a very legal question as well, but I'm sure that you've had opportunities, especially within gospel music, where perhaps somebody does a what do they call it? It's not a. I guess it would be a cover song of a very popular song, and you're including that piece of music that it's not owned by you, what do you think is the best approach when it comes to that? Is it going to just speak to a lawyer immediately, or is it just, what do you suggest?
Well, yeah, the easiest way, if you don't know that person, say for instance, like, you're in Los Angeles and the person, to say is, who is it? Donald Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know that person. How can I use it? I gotta reach out to him. So I just got to reach out first and just make my due diligence to attempt to reach that person. If I can't reach that person, then of course now I have to seek the attorneys to do that on my behalf. Mm-hmm. Because Donald Lawrence don't know who I am. Right, he's not going to say, "Oh yeah, sure, Peter Whitt, you can go ahead. I know you, Peter Whitt. Yeah, I know that guy.
Great song. Let me go ahead and clear that for you. You're fine."
Yeah, but yeah, that's the first step, is you personally try to reach out to that person, email. And I've emailed a couple people myself, known and unknown.
Oddly enough, they'll contact, especially if they know it's for a song that hasn't been sampled for a long time. It gives them an opportunity to, as either the representative of the publishing company or of the estate. It gives an opportunity now. Okay, well, let us be a part of it because we don't know what it's going to be. And I think it's probably very rare that they even hear from rappers or producers who are actually inquiring about it. There was a song that I sampled. Oh my God, what was the name of it? But there was an artist that I sampled the song, and it's a really popular song too. I cannot remember the name of the song, but they actually called and got on the phone with the lead singer of that 70s band, and she was like, "I can't believe I'm talking to you right now, but I want to clear this." And he said, "Oh, by all means, go ahead and do that. Like, you're fine."
Right.
But most people don't even make the effort, and I think that's important that you're talking about that.
And I think that's the downfall of our generation. That's below us.
Right.
To include yourself, because we want to put in the work in the studio, but we don't put in that extra work behind the scenes. Again, a personal manager, a good personal manager, that would be one of the duties that they would do. Okay, on your behalf. But here's what I want to encourage you, the younger generations, to do. I don't care whether you don't ever go to college or if you don't think college is for you or whatever, but at least take business ethics 101. You got to take a class in business ethics so that you know how to treat people in the business industry. You are a business, you are a brand, you are a name, you are a producer, a lyricist, whatever it may be. You have to understand that if you come at people wrong, you'll never work again. Nothing will ever be successful for you.
Small industry.
It's a very small industry, and and even with video productions, I work with this. Tried to work with this young man up in Ohio, and I said, "Look, I got 4 days. We can film. Whatever, just let me know." We talked on the phone while I was on the road.
Right.
And 3 days later, I still didn't have a video.
Oh, wow.
And then he comes to me and says, "Well, we didn't even take no deposit. We didn't do this and do that." I was like, "Dude, I've been up here for 3.5 days.
All you had to do is contact me. If you really want to get this done, you'll get it done. You'll do it when you are in the desperate. And that's something I learned too, especially because I'm within that generation. Is that when you want to get something done, there's no force on earth that's going to stop you from at least attempting to do everything that you can to do it. It's the same thing. Like if you see. If you see a baby in a crib and the crib starts leaning over, you don't sit there and say, "Well, I was waiting to see if somebody else is gonna pick the baby up," or "I was waiting for maybe to see if it cushions." And no, you're gonna do everything in your ability to save that crib. And I think that when you treat your career like that and you do things, when you don't actually treat your career like that, you're setting yourself up for disaster. And I think that I'm glad that you made that point. Here's what I was going to say. So we're going to go ahead and start winding up. because you just blessed us with so much information. I really appreciate your time. Two
Yeah.
things I want to do. One, I want to see if there's any specific questions, because I know you said you took a list of your own. Is there anything specifically we didn't cover that maybe that you want to kind of speak a little bit more detail on?
Yeah. Just one thing real
Okay.
quick
Okay.
here. It's from King Caesar.
Okay.
King Caesar, right? And he says, for producer contracts, what happens if, say, an artist meets one term, but the artist doesn't get to meet the rest of the terms of the contract? All right.
Right.
The best way that I can sum that up is what is called in the industry called cross-collateralization.
Right.
All right. So you have a certain amount of units that your first contract was supposed to hit, right? You signed this person. They didn't reach that goal, say 5,000 units. They didn't reach it. They reached half of it.
Right.
Okay. So the next song still belongs to you because they still have to meet that first obligation.
Right.
So that's what the industry calls cross-collateralization. All right. The cross-collateralization means that if that first song doesn't do what it's supposed to do, right, it falls short, because you are the producer, the whatever your role may be with that artist, that next song they have to meet. And once they meet that between the two, then everything else is gravy. So then everything else is divvied up. But they have to meet that first term, whether it's the first song or the second song.
Right.
And maybe sometimes it may even be the third song. So that's what I wanted to try to emphasize. Again, I'm not a legal representation.
But you gave us some really good advice in that direction, you know. And I think sometimes just planting the seed of what direction to go is super important.
Right.
Well, let me ask you this. Is there any advice that you want to give out? Doesn't have to be related to publishing and contracts, because I think you nailed that over the head. Is there any advice that you would want to give to a lot of young aspiring artists and producers that, you know, possibly within your experience that you're seeing? I mean, you've seen things happen over and over and over again. Although the industry changes, the basic rules about what you get success from don't change. You know, it's the same thing. It may be a different face, but it's the same rules pretty much. What, and it could be something that's not even really music related, something that's life related, because that's something I try to do on this channel, is give them value that is not always, it's loosely based off of music, but it's really about just being a better person. So is there anything that you want to leave with any, any closing words, and then as well as how people can contact you? And then, we'll just go ahead and close off from there.
All right. Yeah. One of my mottos has always been, God bless, be blessed, and know that you are blessed. See, when whatever you are called to do and to be on this earth, you're blessed. You're blessed to do it. You're blessed to accomplish it. I can't do what you do, right? But I can help push you through what you do.
Right.
And again, as a personal manager, that's their forte. Is pushing you into the excellence, helping you to walk through the right doors, helping you to get to that level that you believe that you're supposed to be at. And I can't stress it enough. Surround yourself with a positive personal manager that's going to build a team around you to help you get to that success. Now, it's going to be, it's always small beginnings, but don't despise, the Bible says, don't despise the small beginnings. So there's always small beginnings, and it may not always look all rosy and peach. Nobody's where Curtis King is. Don't strive for that. You got your own.
Absolutely.
Lane.
Your own story to be told. Sure.
Yeah. So that's it. Don't get jealous. I think I heard you say that before. Don't get envious of everybody else and things that are going on around you. Just keep grinding. Keep grinding. And I think there was another question where a younger guy had asked you about, I think he was under the age of 18, and, people saying that he's a good producer and and can he sign and stuff like that. And I said, and I think I replied back and said, just keep grinding, brother, because, once you get to that legal age, it won't be as difficult think about it. If you're 2 or 3 years ahead of turning 18 and you already grinding, by the time you turn 18 to 21,
they can't stop it. They can't stop
right.
it.
Can't stop
Okay.
it. So,
Well, let me ask you this: how can people, if they have any questions, are they open to contact you? I mean, if they have any
yeah.
specific questions, what's the best way for them to contact you? And then, we'll just go ahead and say our last goodbye on
Yeah.
this one.
Right. Yeah, I can be reached at Sage Management, PSAJJ Management, and Sage means wise counsel. So that's how I came up with my company. PSAJJ Management at gmail.com. Email me, and I'll definitely hit you back. I always check my emails and make sure. That's why I have it separate from my own personal email address. I am an LLC. I'm fully incorporated here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I don't have any personal websites or anything up as of now. I shut everything down because I told you I was on a hiatus.
Right.
So we'll be starting back up. I am starting my own talk show here in Louisville.
Congratulations.
Who You Whit live in Louisville.
And I'm sure you're going to have a lot of these folks who are so appreciative of your time today, who are going to be jumping on there and, can't wait to talk to you. But I'm going to say also, too, if you guys have any more questions, leave them within the comments. And I'm sure that, whenever Peter has an opportunity, he'll go and chop it up with some of you guys and answer specific questions. But keep in mind, like you said, neither of us are lawyers, but at the same time, sometimes it's just about what you plant the seed for. A lot of you came here for publishing and contracts, and now you're leaving with, man, maybe I need a personal manager. That kind of information is very vital. So I just want to say thank you. I'm thankful that for once I wasn't the one that had to talk everybody's ears off, because I know sometimes they can get sick of me. I'm just playing, but I really appreciate your time. Really appreciate the information and just the sincerity and the heart that you have with it. There's a reason why I wanted to have you on and just share you with my platform. Thank you again for your time, and I look forward to hearing all the good news happening for you in the next few months.
I appreciate you, man. God bless you.
All right, you have a good one.
Peace.